Agreed. So my name is Matt Carpenter. I'm one of the founders of College Aid Pro. This is a special year to me, but where this will be the 20th year that I'll have been guiding parents through this process, which is wild to say out loud. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have done it so many times. And I'm going to do it until they kick me out, Peggy. As far as I'm concerned, this is a tall task, right? I mean, it's your kids, it's your money. There's so much external pressures associated with this. It's a complex, confusing process. So it's a big challenge, right? All of that is to say it's a big challenge, but there's an amazing reward at the finish line, and we just want to help you do it and navigate this process in the right way. And that's what we're all about, right? It doesn't matter where you are on the socioeconomic spectrum. It doesn't matter what type of student that you have. Everybody has this affordable kind of correct path to and through college, right? And that's what our job is to help everybody find that, and that's rewarding. That's why we love to do what we do because, like I said, huge challenge, but huge. It's an amazing thing, right? It's not much better than this whole college experience for all parties involved. So, Peggy here, my partner in crime. This is the fairy godmother of financial aid. She's been through what you guys are going through on a couple different fronts. She's been on both sides of the desk, but Peggy, I'll let you speak for yourself.
Yeah, so my background is the financial industry, so financial advisor, planner. I'm a planner at heart. And as Matt said, I've been through this with my two. So when they hit high school, I did what probably a lot of you have done, like kind of start to figure out how does this all work? Not really saving for college, but how does the whole system work now that they're in high school? It's game time. And I was shocked to see how complicated the whole thing was. And then I also watched, a lot of my friends and colleagues, it was just a lot. So they just kind of drifted through. And as I dug in more, I realized like it's costly and it's very stressful to do that. So I pivoted, started my own business, just focusing on this with families with that have college bound high school kids and helping you on this journey that you're on. And financial aid forms is like one step in the journey. And there's just a lot of stress around these, and it doesn't have to be as stressful as it is. I'm a numbers girl, so it doesn't bring me anxiety, but a lot of people it does, and we get it. So um I'm the director of education here at CAP, and this is what I do, creating curriculum and teaching and supporting. So that's what we're
And
here to do tonight. And so kudos for being here, taking the time to show up live. We love questions for our groupies, you guys know, so put them in the Q&A. We'll remind you, as opposed to the chat. You can be anonymous, and this is being recorded. So if you get distracted or you just have to leave, it's not a problem. You'll get the recording tomorrow. So, but we really encourage, if you don't have other commitments, to stay live, because we always have nice offerings for our live attendees at the end. So
I forgot to say that, and tonight
I
especially.
know.
Thank you,
So
Peggy.
you got it. Definitely stick around. All right, so let me share my screen and let's get going here. So as Matt said, he's one of the founders here at College Aid Pro. This truly is our mission. I know a lot of companies have missions and it might just be on a piece of paper. I mean, this is really what gets us all out of bed, and to end the student debt crisis, but it's empowering you to shop smarter and having you understand each piece of this journey is the foundation to that. Otherwise, it's just all stress. And honestly, the colleges are in the driver's seat then. And we can see that college is over $100,000 now. So we want to take the reins back from the colleges. It's getting a little out of hand. So there we are, the happy couple. Everybody received an email earlier today encouraging you to set up your free MyCap account. For our groupies, you're already in there, you're good to go. For new people, we can see a lot of you did that earlier today, which is great. If you have not, please, Matt's going to put the link in the chat. Please go ahead and do that. It's free. You can plug in 3 schools. And I know a lot of you have a senior. You might be thinking, what's the point of that? We already picked our schools. it's the whole journey. Like you're going to upload award letters soon. We're going to translate them for you. We're going to tell you if you should be appealing. We're going to help you plan out your first year with 529s and grandma helping. So it's not just about building the list. That's a huge part of it, but it's all the way through the whole process of making the decision and figuring out how to pay. So definitely go in there because Matt's about to give an overview of financial aid. And as he's talking about this, you're going to be able to see your family. So if you haven't done it yet, definitely click on the link that Matt put in the chat and go ahead and get that set up.
I
All
put
right.
the wrong link, but I'm putting the right link right now.
Okay.
All
Because I
right.
have it
Correct link
too.
is in there now.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to you here.
Okay, so here's the deal. I mean, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the FAFSA itself, let's just zoom out for a second. What is financial aid? Financial aid is anytime we're not paying full sticker price at a college, we're getting some type of financial aid. And broadly speaking, there's three types. We're most interested in the first two because that means it's free money, it's money coming right off the top, it's money we do not have to pay back. The first type is need-based grants. This is free money that's given based on our family's financial situation. The biggest drivers, income and non-retirement assets. There are other variables, but those are the two biggest drivers. And if we're eligible for need-based grants uh, at a particular college, that's where we can get again some discounts just based on that. Now, even if we are eligible, does that guarantee we're going to get financial aid at that school? Does that guarantee we're going to get need-based grants? Not necessarily. That's when it depends on, well, how generous or not is that particular college when it comes to need-based financial aid. I'm going to give you some specific examples in a second here. The next type of financial aid, merit-based scholarships, right? So these are discounts that are given uh, really based on the student's credentials, right? So right now, a lot of your uh, students, right, have already applied to schools or in the midst of applying to schools, and these admissions counselors are getting their applications, and they're saying, you know what, we want this kid at our school. We don't care how much or how little or what type of resources the family has. We want to give them a financial incentive to come to our school, right? That's a merit-based scholarship. Okay. And we'll talk in some detail in a second about that. The last type of quote unquote financial aid is what's called self-help financial aid. Really, this is a sexy term for loans. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. As a matter of fact, for many families, self-help financial aid is going to be something that we recommend you take advantage of, even if you don't necessarily need it. However, it is different in the sense that it's not free money coming right off the top, and in most cases, we're going to have to pay it back, and again, in most cases, plus interest. Okay, Peggy. So arguably something we say more than anything else, right? In when it comes to this process, when we get questions, is well, it depends on the college, or it depends on the family situation. It depends on the student. There's not a lot of universal kind of one size fits all rules. So that's why anytime we do have a universal rule, we want to make sure that you're really comfortable with it, right? Because that's just an advantage in terms of knowing how this is going to work for your family. So one universal rule is, and this is a formula that every single college uses for every single student to determine their eligibility for need-based financial aid. And that is the cost of attendance minus the student aid index, or SAI. And if there's a difference between those two, that's the amount of need-based financial aid that family's eligible for. So cost of attendance, right? Let's just unpack this for a second here. That's in layman's terms, that's a sticker price of a college. So if I say, okay, how much does it cost to go to the University of Chicago? $95,000. Got it. What is my student aid index? That is a dollar amount that gets assigned to your student, and everybody has a different student aid index, right? And that's why Peg mentioned it in the beginning. I put the link in the chat. The first thing you need to do is find out your family's student aid index, full stop, right? Because that's going to determine kind of the foundation of your financial aid eligibility. So if we use that $95,000 cost of attendance at University of Chicago, let's say, for example, your student aid index is 50,000. So you are eligible, okay, for $45,000 in this hypothetical of need-based financial aid at the University of Chicago. So what happens to the difference there? Do we pay it? Does the University of Chicago pay it? Do we meet in the middle? In that example, University of Chicago, good news, bad news. Really expensive school, $95,000. However, they meet 100% of need. So if they determine your student aid index is 50,000, that's what you pay to go there. They're going to take care of the 45. Not every school is like that, right? Many schools will meet you in the middle. They won't pay anything. That's where, again, it becomes very school specific. But from a high level, this is a formula that every single college uses to determine your family's eligibility for need-based aid. Some of you guys, right? Some of you guys, I hope I'm wrong here, but I don't think I am. You're not going to be eligible for need-based aid, right? There's no magic wand that the fairy godmother of financial aid or myself or anybody can wave that's going to make you eligible for need-based financial aid, right? Now, number one, don't assume you're not eligible for aid because we've seen many families with, incomes well into the six figures with lots of resources be eligible for need-based financial aid, but that's not everybody. So what if we're not eligible for need-based financial aid? How do we get discounts? Even if we can pay $100,000 a year, maybe we don't want to. So how do we get, how do we pay less than sticker price? The most common way, and again, this seems obvious, but I'm going to show you exactly how we do it, is getting merit-based scholarships. So I'll show you in a second exactly how to identify where and how much you're going to get merit-based scholarships. But a couple talking points before that. The second bullet point here says that some colleges require that you complete the financial aid applications, regardless of your financial aid eligibility, just to be eligible for merit-based scholarships. I always like to use NYU as a great example. They're one of the most popular schools in the country or the world, I should say, in terms of applications received. They do offer merit-based scholarships, but you cannot be eligible for them unless you've completed the FAFSA and the CSS profile, regardless of your financial aid eligibility. Okay. Another important point that I think is not common knowledge in my experience, not every college offers scholarships, right? So we're fortunate to work with a lot of amazing students, really, really talented kids that are applying to these, top tier, most competitive schools in the country. But a lot of their parents assume they're going to get scholarships, not knowing that scholarships don't exist at these schools, right? There's not one Ivy League college that offers scholarships. MIT doesn't offer scholarships. William, Amherst, Middlebury, Bates, Bowdoin, Colby, on and on and on. There's about 100 colleges, right, that scholarships do not exist. If you're not paying full sticker price at Tufts, that means you're getting some type of need-based financial aid because regardless of how talented you might be, scholarships do not exist at those institutions. So we just want to be aware of that again as we're finalizing our list of colleges. And lastly, we want to apply to competing schools. Even if you're a senior, right? I know I have a lot of 2025 families on here. We have to create leverage, right? I'm like I said, I'm in the Boston area here, and there's a bunch of good examples here locally where oftentimes we'll have a family that will love Boston University. They didn't like Northeastern, nor they didn't like the co-op program at Northeastern. They didn't like that it wasn't as urban of a setting as BU was. Guess what? We'll make that family apply to Northeastern not knowing that we're never going to attend there, but we're going to use that offer as leverage. And guess what? We're going to get more money out of BU as a result. And this is especially mission critical if we're not eligible for need-based financial aid, right? Creating leverages. Guys, these are big businesses. These are big businesses, very sophisticated businesses, and they compete with one another. And guess who's the products? You guys are, right? The consumers. So let's use that to our advantage. And Peggy, let me just share my screen quick so I can give.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm just going to speak quickly because there's been a bunch of questions about assets. Only non-retirement assets are included on the form. If your child has, a couple people have said UGMA accounts where money was gifted to them, that is their money. 529s owned by you are your money. And if we had this question in our Facebook group from a few people, if an account is jointly owned and the parent is on it, then you can put it in the parent bucket. So hopefully that helps with a bunch of those questions.
Yeah, common questions, good questions, keep them coming because and they are confusing, they are important, right? It matters. It's not just like a when we talk about parent assets versus student assets, it's not just a clerical reporting issue, okay? You will get less financial aid if you have more money in the student's name versus the parent's name, right? And so that's why it matters, in terms of your bottom line with how you report those types of assets to the colleges. So again, I know most of you have set up your account already. If you haven't, make sure that you do so because we are doing the FAFSA, we're doing the CSS profile to put ourselves in a position to get discounts here. But you want to know what these colleges are going to cost you now before you get accepted, before you get an award letter. This platform is an instant net price calculator for every college in the country, and the colleges themselves will tell you our net price calculator, our net price calculator is a lot more accurate than theirs, right? And again, they will be happy to tell you that. But I mentioned scholarships. I just want to show you quickly here, as you're finalizing your list of schools, if you're a class 2025, right, and you're thinking about competing schools, and you just want to find some that are going to give you the biggest discounts possible, I can say, hey, go show me four-year schools that are, pretty close to my house. And they have, and again, there's a bazillion filters we can put in here, but let's just say um, and they have bio as a major. Okay. I can search that and then I can say, I want you to sort that criteria based on who's going to give my kid the most in scholarship dollars. And again, this is specific to your kid. So maybe Wheaton wasn't on the list, but they're going to give you a $40,000 discount regardless of your family's income or if you are eligible for financial aid, right? I can sort just based on that and say, okay, cool. Tufts is incredibly generous with financial aid, and they're going to be a great deal, even though they appear to be wildly expensive. So we just want to make sure that again you are leveraging the platform that you have at your fingertips here. Number one, to find out what these schools are actually going to cost you, and then go find some other ones that are going to give you a ton of money, even if that just means creating leverage for yourself.
All right, let me reshare here. One more for you, Carpy.
Ah, yes. So why should we submit these forms? We got a bunch of these questions already. We make the universal recommendation. Everybody at a minimum should at least complete and submit these forms. Why? So many people disqualify themselves from discounts because they assume they're not going to be eligible. Don't make that assumption. I mentioned NYU. A lot of these colleges, if you want to be considered for scholarships, you have to submit the financial aid applications. With very few exceptions, if you do not apply for financial aid freshman year, you are telling that college, we will pay full sticker price for all 4 years. You can't change your mind sophomore year because you lost a job, or junior year to say, hey, we need to apply for financial aid now because now our younger sibling is in college as well. They're going to say, sorry, bud. You told us you're going to pay full sticker price for all 4 years. So again, you at least need to throw your hat in the ring now. A huge part of this, again, financial process when it comes to college is negotiating. We can't use that word, but appealing for additional financial aid or additional scholarships. In other words, after you get this offer, how do I go back and get a better offer? We appeal. Guess what? The colleges aren't going to hear an appeal unless you've completed the financial aid applications. The last point I'll make here, I don't care if you're a billionaire. If if you complete the FAFSA, your student becomes eligible to borrow up to $27,000 over the course of 4 years for college. Pay that off for them instantaneously each year. Now they're going to graduate with pretty much a perfect credit score. So that again is another reason where even if you don't need financial aid, just jump through the hoops and create a better situation for you and your kid. All right, Peggy.
Okay. Let me jump in here. Lots of really good questions. Keep them coming. Okay. So now let's dig in on the FAFSA. So obviously it's live. And if you have been in there, you've noticed all the income information that they're asking is about 2023. It's prior year. Unlike assets, and I've answered a few questions about this, that are real-time value of your assets, okay? So completely opposite, present versus the 2-year look back. Everybody, I met with somebody the other day who didn't have their 23 done, but almost everybody, without a few little exceptions, you have your tax return done. So that's what this is going to be based on. So let's take a minute, because there's already been a ton of questions. If you are a divorced or separated family, only one parent is submitting the FAFSA, and that is called the custodial parent. And the custodial parent is defined as the parent who provided the most financial support to that student on a year look back from when you're submitting the form. So if you're not going to submit it till January 5th, because there's no school that has a deadline until January 31st, for example, it's going to be a year look back from then. So if you're 50-50 and you're divorced or separated, as far as support for your child, that's a planning opportunity to try and choose the parent that's most advantageous to be submitting the form. Make sure they're spending a little bit more on your child that's going to college. Then you're following the rules, you're being honest, and you're putting your best foot forward. So only that parent is going to be submitting. That's a change from last year. Was the first year that was the definition. If you are that parent that provides the most support and you're remarried, it's your whole household that you're going to be sharing. Even if the step parent, you have a prenup, they've said they're not contributing, whatever that is, it doesn't matter. They don't care. That unit, that household of income and assets is going to be put on the FAFSA. If you're not remarried, then it's just you. So I basically covered all that without even going to this slide. And again, it's based on the previous 12 months. It's not based on the tax year. So if you can do any planning there and put your best foot forward, definitely take advantage of that, okay? Now let's talk about who are the contributors. So this is all brand new from last year, since last year. So it's the student, it's your child's FAFSA. They're actually contributing to their FAFSA, all their information. Then parents or guardians, depending on the family situation, will be contributing. So as I just shared, if you're divorced or separated and you're the custodial parent, then you're the only contributor to your child's FAFSA. The other biological parent that's non-custodial is not involved at all, okay? If you are married and you file married filing jointly, you file one tax return with all of your income, which is the most common way, then one parent is going to submit that form with the student. And there's something called an FSA ID that you need to get. Your child needs to get it, and whoever is a contributor on the form needs to get it. So if it's married filing jointly, only one parent needs it. If you're divorced or separated, only the custodial parent needs it. If you are married, but you have the filing status married filing separately, which means you each file your own tax return, then you both need an FSA ID and password. And the reason why you even need these is this is how you're going to sign into your portion of the FAFSA. When you go in there, you're going to consent to have the government move your IRS income and all your tax information into the FAFSA. And so when you sign, you're consenting to that. So if you each have your own tax return, you each need to consent. So that's why with married filing separately, you're both contributors and you both need the FSA ID. If you have an older child and you're the parent and you already have an FSA ID or you went to grad school or undergrad, that's yours. It's based on you. So you don't need to get a new one. It's yours, you're good. But your child is going to need one, and you're going to need this every year. So once you create these, put them in a safe place. Once you consent on the FAFSA, you can't say, I changed my mind. You can the next year and not consent. If you don't consent, your child will not be eligible for federal aid, state aid, or institutional aid in most cases, meaning the colleges, the college endowment. So it's very important to do this, and you don't have the choice unless you're fall into an exception to manually input your information. That used to be an option. It's no longer an option, and I'll show you what happens when you get to that step. Here's the link to create your FSA ID. If you haven't done this, literally do this tonight. You need to do it. Once you create it, your information goes to the Social Security Administration. They check to make sure you are who you say you are. Then you get an email back, each one of you, your child and yourself, saying, you're good to go. Once you're good to go, then you can get in there and do the FAFSA. That's how you're getting in. That's the only way to get in. So you want to get this done if you haven't done it yet, because it can take the Social Security Administration a few days to get back to you. And now that it's game time, it might even take a little longer. So an easy process. Make sure you're on studentaid.gov and not a copy site, because you're going to put in your social, your date of birth. So it's confidential information. So we had a few questions about how should I do this? Who should start first? So let me tell you best practice. And we've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these because we have a team of experts at CAP. We have people that are at Harvard School of Medicine, University of Oklahoma, MIT, and then other experts like Matt and myself who've been around the block for decades. We help families do this, right? So we've been in the FAFSA since day one, and we've seen how these things flow. So this is what we recommend you do. You can see this. You can see there's a student contributor part and there's a parent. And some people might have two parents, depending. What we want you to do is log in, go to FAFSA.gov, log into the student part, complete the student part. And I'm going to show you in a minute that flow that you're going, if you're helping your child, you're going to be, in essence, inviting yourself and sending an email invitation to yourself to go into your part as the contributor. So do your child's part with them, they sign, go over to the parent part and complete it. Do not get all gung-ho and go, I'm going to get my stuff done. I'm going to, my child's at school, we'll deal with that later. That's where we're seeing some errors come up. So don't go and start your whole part and complete it, because it might not show up on your student one. So start with the student one and then go through the invite, which I haven't heard people not getting their invites. If you don't, you can still log into your FSA account. You'll see it and you can accept it. So that's the flow that we strongly encourage you to follow. Also, use the Chrome browser. If you are on a Mac or an iPad, there's been a few places where there's glitches. So make sure you're not in Safari. I'm not saying it'll never work in Safari. We had a meeting earlier this morning, people were sharing, and that seemed to be the common denominator when there was a little bit of issues of being able to enter stuff. So use Chrome. That's usually best practice, okay? So that's high level best practice. So once you're ready to roll, easiest thing to do is just type in FAFSA.gov. It's going to take you to a different URL, but that's easy to remember. And then you're just going to get started. Start my 2526 form. And by the way, you can go in and start these and save them. You don't have to finish it all at one time, okay? So if you have to run to a meeting or whatever, you're okay. You won't lose all your data. It's going to ask you to log in. So it's the FSA ID and password. Just like many sites nowadays, it's going to say, send a code. So this is based on how you set up your FSA ID. It's going to text you or your child, or it's going to send an email. So if you're helping your child do this, make sure they're around, make sure you can get those codes, because there's two-factor authentication for your protection. Okay, so that's in there. And then you're going to be in. It's going to say, welcome. Are you the student? Are you the parent? So we're going on the student side here. So they would click student and hit continue. There's a set of 4 videos. This will pop up on the parent side and the student side. I recommend watching them the first time. Just get the lay of the land of what FSA is telling you is going to happen in this form and what you're agreeing to. It's worth your time the first time to just check these out. Then you are actually, like it says up here, you are going to provide consent and approval for that, your data, like I said earlier, to move from the IRS into the respective parts of the FAFSA. You have to approve this. If you don't, again, eligibility for aid is going to be gone. Okay, so it's very important to do this. Then this is new this year, because I know we have a few parents from the questions that did this last year. This will pop up and actually tell you, hey, we're doing this, we're pulling your data. So this will happen on both sides for the parent and the student. If for some reason it doesn't work, you might get this message. There are some people that are going to be told, hey, you've got to manually enter your tax information. Most likely, you didn't do anything wrong. You're just in one of those exception groups. So just go ahead and follow the flow and enter your adjusted gross income and your taxes and your earnings. And they'll give you fields, and there should be little help boxes there. But for most people, it's just going to move right in, and that part of the financial section will be done. So if you look up here, we're going to go through these 5 parts. This is on the student side. There's personal circumstances, demographics, financials, colleges. That's where you're going to add all the schools, and then you're going to sign. So here's the first page of that, and this is very straightforward. They're trying to see if a student is what's called independent, meaning the parents aren't involved in the form. It's not that common, and just because your child might be living on their own and supporting themselves, that's not good enough to be independent. So, all right. They're going to ask, do you have any special circumstances? So you just read through it. For most families, fortunately, they're not a victim of human trafficking. These are unusual circumstances that are crummy, right? So most people hopefully will be saying no to that. Then it's going to ask you this question. This caused a lot of confusion last year. So there's going to actually be a pop-up after this that'll show you. But what it's saying is, are the parents refusing to provide their information? Because if they are, and it's required, this student is dependent, they're not an independent student, that means the parent should be supplying it. The parents say, we don't want to, but we want our child to be eligible for direct federal unsubsidized loans. Then you would mark yes here. Most people are going to mark no. If you mark yes, because you're like, oh, of course we want those loans, we're marking yes, this will pop up and say you will not be eligible for most federal aid and institutional and state, like I've said a couple times. So it's going to try and catch you in your error. Make sure you mark no if the parents are supplying tax information or all their information. Then they're going to ask about the parents, a few questions, simple, easy questions. Then you get to the invitation. So this is what I was referencing earlier. This is where the student is going to invite the contributors. In some case, it might not be a parent. It just depends on the situation. And you'll notice that it's tiny and it's in italics, but it says optional. So we were talking this morning with our group of experts, and some people fill both sides in, and some people were like, I just fill in the one parent. On the parent side, you're going to have to provide your spouse's information. But whatever you put in here, if that parent, which they will, has an FSA ID, the information that you list in the invite must exactly match how they set up their FSA ID. If it doesn't, you could get an error message. And it can be as finicky as you write that you live on Jones Road, ROAD, and your child puts in RD and abbreviates it. That can cause an issue. So it needs to be exact. The name needs to be exact. If somebody goes by their middle name and they put that to create their FSA ID, and then they put their legal name here, their first name, that's going to blow it up. So just make sure they match. Okay. Then we're into demographics. These are pretty straightforward. You're going to enter your high school. I didn't do tons of screen prints here. It's pretty basic to go through the demographics for the student. Then we get to the financial. So in the financial section, if all that tax information moves in, you're not going to be asked about adjusted gross income, taxes, earnings. That's all going to come in from the IRS. You will, unless you're exempted from having to include assets, which some people are, if they're taking advantage of federal benefits, or their adjusted gross income is below 60,000, and then they can't file certain schedules on their tax return, or you're eligible for maximum Pell, all of those will automatically exempt you, and the asset questions might not pop up. We've had some people, and one of the questions I think from our Facebook group was, I didn't get the asset questions. Why didn't I? My income is higher. If you didn't, there's nothing you can do about it, right? Just finish it, get it completed, get it signed, get it in. But just realize if the college notices that, they could come back and say, hey, there was an error in the technology. We need to know your assets. So they may or may not do that, right? Just follow what's in there. They'll ask on the parent side, they're going to ask for family size. Check that number. It's routinely not accurate and you can update it. So make sure that's accurate for your family size. Number in college next year, make sure that's accurate. You're going to be asked for a business value if you have a business. You need to value your business. And we've worked with a lot of families one-on-one on that because they don't know how to do that. Sometimes it's actually zero, right? And then, as I said, many people are not going to be putting income in. It's just going to be the assets and these other questions. The family size, the number in college, that's on the parent side when you get in there. So it's slightly different between the parents and the students. Then you're at the colleges part. You can put up to 20 colleges in here. Not a counselor, but I know some kids that have 25 schools on their list. God bless them. That's a lot of essays and supplemental questions. You will have to submit 20. Then you'll have to wait for it to process and you'll have to go in and delete some, put in the new schools and resend it. You've got to make sure your FAFSA is processed and watch the deadlines. Put the schools in that have the earlier deadlines. You don't want to miss deadlines. So follow through, put in the name of the school, make sure you're picking the right campus and you're not picking the law school or a satellite campus of the UNC system if you want to send it to Chapel Hill. Just make sure you've got the right school. Take your time, answer the other questions they ask, and then make sure you've got your whole list in there. It's free. And again, up to 20 schools at a time. They increase that. So that's really nice. Then you get to the end here. This is the end of the student part. They're going to go through, and I strongly recommend that you review the different sections. This is actually what it looks like on the parent side. See, this is parent of Jenny Price because the parents only have 3 sections. The student has extra sections, colleges. Just click on the drop down and review it. If you can sleep on it and come back the next day, you might want to just get it done because you don't want to worry about logging in and having issues with the FAFSA. The CSS, you don't have to worry about that as much. So you might want to just finish it if that's the case. But just click on it, look at it, make sure nothing jumps out at you, especially the numbers. Like, oh, I put an extra 0 on my non-retirement assets. That's going to be a big problem, right? So take a minute or maybe bring your spouse in. If you're married, have them look at it, make sure nothing jumps out at them. Because you can make corrections on the FAFSA, but you don't want to add extra zeros by accident. That's gonna shoot up your SAI. So you want to be careful with that and make sure that the student 529s owned by the parent are under the parent assets and the UGMAs and UTMAs are student. There are ways to get that out of the student's name, but that's a one-on-one discussion with us. So review all that, then come over, read the agreement and sign it, okay, for the student. Then what's going to happen is you're going to get this. Okay, great. You're almost there. Student section is complete. Dad, Mark, invite has been sent. He needs to go do his part, okay? So when dad logs in, same thing, FAFSA.gov, goes and logs in, this is what's going to show up. He'll have the email, so he can click on that, or he can log in and it's going to say, accept this invitation. When he accepts it, he's going to be in and it'll be automatically linked to your child, okay? So you won't see the first parts that you already helped your child complete or your child completed. It's going to go right to your sections. And they're going to be those 3 sections that we just saw on the review form. You fill those out, you answer the financial questions, a few things about how you filed your taxes, and you're not adding schools, you're not doing any of that stuff that your child is doing. And then when you hit the sign page, just like I showed you, you review your stuff, hit the sign page, you may get something like this. You will get something that says the form is complete. You may or may not see something that estimates the student aid index that Matt talked about. Some people are seeing this and some people are not. If you don't worry about it. The student should get an email saying your FAFSA is complete. Here's your estimated SAI. After a couple days, your student can log in to their studentaid.gov account, and there's something called a FAFSA submission summary. They can go, it used to be called a student aid report, a SAR, for parents that have older kids. You can open that and it will say the estimate of the SAI. This information, they're called ICERs, that gets sent to the colleges within a day or two. That's been flowing really well. The FAFSA has been going since October 1. They were just doing it in really small numbers, making sure the tech was working. So those will be sent off to the college. That's, knock on wood, that's been pretty seamless this year. But you want to grab this. Don't leave this page, screenshot it, print a PDF, whatever you want to do, because you want proof that the FAFSA is complete. You want that date. The DRN number is a government thing, but if a college says, hey, we didn't get it by the deadline, this is your proof that you did submit the FAFSA. So definitely grab this. Then you will see that your child gets, check your email, and it's all about the email that's on the FSA ID. And I know my kids are older and they still don't do email a lot. They need to check their email in this process. The colleges could be communicating that way. It's important that they're checking, and sometimes they're only sending it to the student, many times. So keep that in mind. But then they can log in, see their FAFSA submission summary. You can make corrections. Hopefully you won't need to. But that's the flow of the FAFSA, okay? Once again, real quick, the tips, and then I'll turn it back over to Matt. No retirement accounts in there, okay? 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, those balances are not included. Under the parent investments, net worth of investments, secondary real estate, not the home you live in, is part of that question. So the equity in that property, which means the market value minus the mortgage or HELOC, don't overestimate your property. If you're not sure how to do that, make sure you talk to us one-on-one or get help with us, comprehensive help. Matt's going to talk about that. We've done this a million times. We know how to do this. You don't want to lie, but many times people overestimate because they don't know, any better. And it's hard. It's hard. That's not a criticism at all. Only include parent-owned 529s on the FAFSA, and only the student that's going to college. Grandma, great uncle Eddie, cousin Eddie from the Christmas Vacation movie has a 529. That is not included. Okay, it's
Not
only.
even Cousin Eddie's?
I don't think cousin Eddie had any money to be setting up
That's
529.
true. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, you
I
never
just
know.
had to add that in there. That's
Maybe
one
he
of the
was
best.
saving up for college, Peggy. Maybe
Yeah,
he,
one of the
yeah.
best holiday movies. Got to put it on your list if you haven't seen it. Don't miss an opportunity with work study. Actually, I'm not sure if that question's on there, but if you see it, click yes. It doesn't mean your child's obligated. Matt talked about SAI. That in many cases is not the total amount you're going to be expected to pay. So just keep that in mind. And as I said several times, don't overvalue your business or your secondary real estate. We're here to support you on that. And as always, everything in this process, don't miss deadlines, because what the college will do is say, all right, you're in the second bucket to get need-based aid. And it literally could be 5 figures. And then you're reaching out to the school and saying, please, oh, please, mea culpa. And it may or may not work. You might be stuck. And so you don't want to put yourself in a situation like that.
Yeah, so I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to talk about kind of like our small, medium, and large solutions for ways that we can help you all. But let me say a couple things. I don't think we said at the top, I know I didn't, that we wouldn't be able to get to all questions tonight, right? There's several hundred questions. We got to about 100 of them, and I know Peggy's going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. We're not leaving just yet. We're going to get to as many of them as we possibly can. But a lot of you put your questions in the chat. If you want a chance to have your question answered, you have to put them in the Q&A. That's the
Yeah,
only place
please
that
pop
that,
it over there.
that we're able to look. And I know plenty of you were you didn't know this, you didn't hear this because we just mentioned that at the top. So I'm not saying that in a critical way. I'm just matter of factly, if you want to have a chance to have your questions answered, you got to put them in the Q&A as opposed to the chat. And a lot of your questions were perfect questions, great questions, But you heard me say, like, look at, we would need more information. We're divorced, which parent should complete the FAFSA? We're business owners, how should we value our business? And I just said we would need more information to give a firm recommendation. It would be reckless for us to take kind of a rough guess in answering some of those questions. So I'm not dismissing you with those answers. That's just the most honest way that I can answer them. So let me talk about kind of our solutions here. I'll share my screen quickly here. So from a really high level, and we do, for those of you that have been with us for a while, we take care of our live audiences and we have really, meaningful kind of offers just for you all. But we have our kind of full on wake me up when it's over package. Then we have our package that's a more targeted service like, hey, look, I just want you guys to complete the FAFSA and CSS profile for me. Or even if I've submitted them, I want you guys to go make the corrections and review them and all that and meet with me to make sure I got that right. Or I'm somebody that just wants an hour. So let me walk through each of these. I mean, the and for our full sorry here, guys. I'm having a tough time with Zoom. There we go. But for our full Wake Me Up When It's Over package, we're only going to do 5 of these tonight for the class 2025 because we're just about full for this year. And but let me quickly walk you through what it looks like. So this is a little bit more about us, right? We've been around the block as a team. These are just some of the logos for colleges that are part of our team or formerly part of our team. And these are just some statistics. On average, families that hire us for our comprehensive, again, kind of financial aid to wake me up when it's over package, they save $70,000 on college, right? Said another way, families that decide not to hire us for this, they on average pay $70,000 more for college. That's the biggest reason that people make the investment to hire us is because you pay less for college, right? And a lot of people say, well, I can't afford to work with you. I'm trying to save for college. But you're still, even for a state school, you're going to have to come up with $35,000 in 8 months from now. Let us make that a smaller number. Let us help you come up with whatever that number ends up being the right way for your family. So, exactly what do we do with our Wake Me Up When It's Over package for financial aid? Number one, we do the financial aid applications for you. We do the FAFSA. We do the CSS profile. We make sure that you're applying to competing schools, and it's not too late. Even if you're a senior, it is not too late, even if we're putting a college or colleges on there just for, again, that kind of leverage purposes. And I'm putting this, I know I'm getting requests for this in the chat here.
Yeah, I put it in there.
Okay, thank you. So we'll help you finalize your list of schools. Even if you've already submitted the CSS profile and or the FAFSA, we will still provide meaningful ROI here because I can all but guarantee you there's some changes and corrections we're going to want to make. I just for 80% of families, that's how it shakes out. If you haven't submitted them, even better, right? Once you get the offers back, we will lead the charge in terms of negotiating. We don't use that word in terms of appealing with these colleges for more money. If we're not eligible for need-based financial aid, that means we're talking to the admissions office, it's merit. If we are eligible for need-based financial aid, that means we're talking financial aid office, it's need, and oftentimes it's both. And then finally, how are we going to pay this bill? Do we use the 529 first? What about grandparent contributions? Why do we recommend that everybody borrows at least something via the federal direct student loan? If we have to borrow, what's our best option there? So you get unlimited hours one-on-one with one of our experts from now until whenever your student moves into their dorm.
Well, and let me just share. People are writing questions about really good appeal opportunities. That's something we're going to dig in. If you buy this Wake Me, we'll be all over that, helping you craft that appeal. Oh, I have all this money, but it's all I have. How can they use it? That's a common appeal. So
100%, right?
interject that.
So in the link here, and again, we're doing 5 of these tonight, guys. You sign up right through here, right through the link, and then you put in, you can decide if you want to chop up the payments, via 6 monthly payments, or if you just want to, there is a uh, finance fee. What is it? 5% if you do it there, or you go one time, you say you want to pay. And then what you'll do is you'll add the code in here. What is it? 2025, Peggy, I think.
Yep, yep.
And you hit apply and it'll deduct the 700 bucks there, right? So don't overthink that. And the coupon code expires at midnight tonight. Let's just say you're like, oh my God, we should do this, but I didn't get to talk to my partner or I didn't get to talk to my ex-partner, right? I know there's a lot of split household families on here. Sign up tonight, lock in the discount, right? But if you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling a little bit of buyer's remorse or whatever, I'm not sure. Write into support at collegejpro.com after you purchase, and they'll connect you with me directly tomorrow. And we can talk one on one and say, hey, was this the right fit? If you're like, it's not, or my partner didn't get it, my ex-partner didn't get it, we'll give you a 100% refund, right? If you want to gut check it. But lock it in. You're not going to regret it. It's going to be the best investment you're going to make around this whole college process. Okay. I promise you that. We said this, we were saying this earlier today. This is the best Christmas present you can get yourselves as parents, right? This is the most peace of mind, the most return on investment in this whole process. Get this Christmas present for yourselves, okay? And again, you will thank yourselves for it. You'll thank us for it. If you're like, look, I don't need that stuff. I don't care. I don't care about applying to competing colleges. I don't care about appealing. I know exactly how I'm going to pay the bill. I'm just freaked out about these financial aid forms. We have a package just for that, right? We will complete your FAFSA and your CSS profile for you. Okay. You can, and you'll have an hour with one of our experts, right, to make sure that everything is aligned. We're reviewing everything together, but you don't have to think about that. I know a lot of people are just freaked out about the forms, and this is their only kind of pain point. We can take care of that for you. Again, instead of 1,500 bucks, if you go on our website, it's 1,500 bucks. You get the $300 off if you sign up tonight. And again, you just do that right through here, right? And same deal, you go to sign up through here, and then you put in your coupon code, and you'll be in business. Now, there's probably a percentage of you that are saying like, I'm a DIYer. I don't outsource anything, right? I do my own landscaping. I do my own painting. I change the oil in my car. That's who you are, right? I don't need to tell you any further. You would never outsource this type of stuff. You're going to do your own financial aid applications. You're going to do your own negotiating. You're going to find out which colleges are competing with one another. You're going to find out how to get the lowest loan rate. But you might want somebody to gut check some of this stuff at some point, right? Maybe you said, hey, you know what? I submitted my CSS profile and or my FAFSA, but I wouldn't mind if an expert that has been doing this their whole career, that works at Harvard, works at MIT, used to be the director at USC, is the director of scholarships at University of Oklahoma, Matt Pegg, whoever. I wouldn't mind them looking at my application before I submit it or after I submitted it, and giving their either blessing or feedback in terms of changes. Just book an hour with one of us, right? You can book an hour here. You discount it by whatever that is, 60 bucks, 70 bucks off the rack rate. What is that? 20, 70 bucks basically off the rack rate. And that gives you access. You get an hour with any one of us, any of the experts on our team. By the way, obviously Peg and I are coaching you up tonight. We are happy to be a part of an unbelievably experienced team. And anybody that you meet with, you're going to be in incredible hands with. And you can decide if you want to choose a particular expert or just whoever works best with your schedule. Again, you're going to be in great shape. And in addition to the hour, you get access to our club, to our club, our membership for a year, right? And there's a ton of perks with that as well. So that's kind of small, medium, large. Only 5 of you guys can get the Wake Me Up when it's over, the unlimited one-on-one help for every single component of this process from now until your kid moves into the dorm, right? And it looks like we got a couple of those spoken for already here. If you want us to do all the forms for you, but just that, in addition to meeting, with one of our experts to go over those and submit them together after we complete them. That's kind of our medium package here. And if you're just like, look, I got this thing under control, but somebody gut check this for me, at least take advantage of the hour. And the thing is, guys, even if you're like, I might want to use the hour at any point during this process. Take advantage of the discount tonight, and you can use the hour. It doesn't have to be in the near future. You can use it in the spring if you want to, or when it comes time to borrow or whatever. So, um, but take some action, right? That's what we always say. At least do something. We know the comprehensive services are not for everybody, right? But at least take some action. You're going to get a return on the investment. And if you don't, come see me. I'm happy to stand tall on any of these. If you don't feel like you had an amazing experience or save money. Um, Peggy, what did I miss, buddy?
You did a great job. Let me see if there's any questions here about what you were sharing. Um, yeah, just because sometimes people will put in, oh, I have twins. What do I do?
Right.
Um,
And on that note, for twins, if you buy one of our Wake Me Up When It's Over packages, buy one and the twin is $500, right? And we'll invoice you for that after the fact. So if you're like, hey, look at I want the comprehensive help, buy just one financial aid Wake Me Up When It's Over package. We have two left. Then our team will invoice you tomorrow for $500 for the twin. For the forms packages, you got to get them separately and same. Well, actually, if you're just doing an hour, oftentimes the hour you can probably get a two for one type of deal.
all right, I'm going to put the link for the page that Matt put in again, because somebody was asking, where's the link for the packages? So I just put in the link that's for all the different options. And that's in there. And then let me put the link in again that's for the comprehensive Wake Me.
Yeah, I can put that too.
Yeah, so that's in there. Yes, and if you decide an hour is what you want, you don't need to use it for the FAFSA. If you want to lock in
Right.
the discount, go ahead and buy it and then use it for appeals in 3 weeks. That's fine. That's fine. And some people want to stockpile hours. You can do that, but if you buy 1 hour and you want to buy another one, you got to schedule. So you can schedule, then go buy another hour, but you got to schedule it. You can always reschedule it if you realize you need that meeting sooner than you thought. But you can't just buy five. You can buy five, but you got to buy them and schedule out.
And what it'll say for those of you,
The coupon code is 2025. Because somebody
yeah.
asked that.
So
Make sure you pop that in.
for those of you that are on the in the premium level of our software, it'll say talk to an expert up here, right? And then you just click on this, and then you say you want to book an hour, you put in your coupon code, and you schedule it. If you're on the free version of our platform, it'll say upgrade here. You click on that, and then you choose software plus expert, and you'll be in business. If you haven't created an account, again, just go to mycap.collegeaidpro.com. You'll select software plus expert. That'll get you your hour plus your premium access to the our membership for a year with the coupon code there. Yeah. Okay, Peggy. What do you think, buddy? Is that enough for you?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I know everybody got at least a nugget or two or three or four or five out of this. So
I hope so. Oh,
I know
and sorry.
there's a lot of questions here that we got to
Yeah,
96 of
the
them, but
folks. Sorry, Peggy. The folks. Jonathan. Yep, we got you, buddy. But the folks that signed up for the Wake Me tonight, you'll hear from our team tomorrow. That will get you all on board, and we'll be off to the races tomorrow. And the
yeah,
coupon
you'll hear
code is
from us ASAP if
the
you
coupon
signed
code
up
is
tomorrow.
2025. Coupon
Yeah,
code
2025. Thank you.
goes
You're always
2025.
wonderful. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. That really
appreciate the
keeps us
kind
going
words.
here. Yeah, so you'll hear from us. And if there's any confusion or any questions about you bought something, always know you can email us at support@collegeaidpro.com. We're not answering at 1 o'clock in the morning. We try and have life balance at CAP, but our support team is all over it during business hours. They will respond very quickly. They will ping the appropriate people on the team. If you sign up, you want to chat with Matt briefly, they're going to be all over it. So just don't worry about that. You know where to find us.
Yeah, and then I saw, yeah, Alexandra, we'll make sure that we get that squared away tomorrow. You sign up for the monthly payment plan before you saw anybody that signs up for the 6 month payment plan with our Wake Me Up When It's Over service. There is a 5% finance fee on that, so we'll get that squared away tomorrow.
Yeah, we can fix that for you tomorrow. So don't lose any sleep on that overnight. Sleep soundly.
I will too, Peggy. You as well. You've earned it, my dear.
All right, everybody. We'll have a wonderful evening and let us know. We are here to help with the FAFSA and the CSS profile.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
All
Peggy.
right, have a good one.
Good night.